NAK cells go up during infection. Yes, natural killer cells can increase in number and activity during an infection. NK cells are a type of white blood cells that are part of the innate immune system, which provides the first line of defense against infections. How do they go up? The number and the activity of natural killer cells can increase during infection as part of the body's immune response. There's multiple ways this can happen. It can happen. Um, I mean, how do they go up? There's multiple ways this can happen. Activation by cytokines. Cytokines are signaling molecules that are released by cells of the immune system in response to an infection. Certain cytokines, such as interleukin negative 2 or IL-2, or not negative 2, interleukin 2, interleukin 12, and interleukin 15.
IL-2 is also fine.
Okay. Can activate NK cells and cause them to increase in number and activity. Um, Recognition of infection cells. NK cells are able to recognize and destroy cells that have been infected by a virus or other pathogen. This recognition can lead to the activation and proliferation of NK cells. Interaction with other immune cells. NK cells can interact with other cells of the immune system, such as dendritic cells, macrophages,
Pages.
phages,
Pages.
and T cells. These interactions, also thank you, can lead to the activation and proliferation of NK cells. Epigenetic changes, which are modifications to DNA that do not alter the genetic code, can also play a role in the act.
Wait, oh, okay. I thought you were switching subject from NK cells.
No, can also play a role in the activation of NK cells during an infection. Um, by how much? The increase in natural killer cells during an infection can vary depending on the type and severity of the infection as well as the individual's immune system. However, studies have shown that during some infection, the number of NK cells in the blood can increase by several fold. For example, during an acute viral infection, such as with the influenza virus or herpes simplex virus, the number of circulating NK cells in the blood can increase by up to tenfold. Similarly, during bacterial infections such as with Mycobacterium tuberculosis, the number of NK cells in the blood can increase by up to 2 to 3 fold. An increase of tenfold in the number of cells means that the number of cells is 10 times greater than the original number of cells. To calculate the percentage increase, you can use a Fallopian formula. So, for example, you can use like a percentage increase of like the the old value, and like you multiply it by like 100 percentage. So, for example, let's say you have like 100, right? And you multiply it by like 100 percentage, you're gonna have like 900 percentage. So that will be like tenfold.
No, that's not how. That's not how it works.
Wait, sure.
Yeah.
For example, what? I mean, that's what I found. Like, what? Are you
Okay. Okay.
okay?
If
So
if
if
you
the
have 100 NK cells and you get 100% increase in NK cells, you end up with 200 NK cells because 100% of NK cells that you do have is 100.
okay,
And if you increase them by 100%, that means you increase them by 100 NK
I mean,
cells. And
what I found this was, for example, like if you have 100 NK cells, and it's increased by tenfold, it will be like 1,000 during an infection.
yeah, so 100 tenfold is 1,000.
Yeah.
But okay, if 100% is 100 NK cells, how many percent is 900 NK cells? Because you're increasing by 900 NK cells to get to 1000.
Yeah, but like,
It's actually it's 900%.
yeah, that's what I said. Not like 900 percentage. Like you're making the your
No,
multiple.
you said 100%. You said tenfold is 100%. You
No, no,
multiplied
no.
by you said fucking no, you said you multiplied by 100%.
Uh,
Yeah, those were your words.
uh,
Because I was like, no, yeah, that's definitely not right.
yeah, I am a bad. Uh,
It's fine, doesn't matter. It all makes sense. Like I
yeah,
get
yeah.
it. Tenfold is tenfold.
Okay, yeah. Okay, I made a mistake there, but yeah, basically, if you have like, you know, 100, and then you get they multiply it by tenfold, it will be like 1,000.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
It's like 900% increase or so.
Uh, I think it'll be good if you take a look at this one, but okay, well, adrenaline and noradrenaline, like the charts, I found them for like the forest in the male and the city in the male, like the charts, and
Yeah,
basically,
if you wanna share the screen, I'll look at them.
okay,
But I mean, seeing that it can fucking jump tenfold, I'm pretty fucking sure that walking in the forest just gets you a whole bunch of like little infections that your body, works on fucking removing.
huh?
To be honest, I'm pretty sure of that. It's not a good increase in NK cells, I think.
Yeah. Let me pause it. Hold on. Peripheral blood. Peripheral blood, also known as circulating blood, is a blood that circulates throughout the body's peripheral tissues outside the central organs such as heart and lungs. The peripheral blood is carried by the cardiovascular system, which includes the heart, arteries, veins, and capillaries. The cardiovascular system plays a crucial role in delivering oxygen, nutrients, and other essential substances to the body's tissue and removing waste products. Peripheral blood is made up of several different components, including red blood cells, also known as eryth-
Erythrocytes.
erythrocytes, yes, white blood cells, also known as leukocytes, and platelets, also known as thrombocytes. Each of these components serves a unique function in the body. Red blood cells are the most abundant component of peripheral blood and are responsible for transporting oxygen from the lungs to the body's tissue. They are disc shaped cells that contain hemoglobin, a protein that binds to oxygen and carries it through the bloodstream. Red blood cells are produced in the bone marrow and have a lifespan of about 120 days. White blood cells are another important component of peripheral blood and play a crucial role in the body's immunity system. They come in several types, including neutrophils, lymphocytes, monocytes, eosinophils, and basophils. How do you pronounce that word? Eosinophils and basophils.
I've read it a lot of times, but I don't think I've heard it said. So I'm not sure how to say it because I've only seen it written.
Eosinophils and basophils. Each type of white blood cells has a specific function, such as identifying and destroying pathogens or producing antibodies to fight infections. Also, I just wanna mention really quick how like it's so fucking weird in English how like certain words are like pronounced like if you were speaking a Romance language, and then some other words are pronounced like if you were speaking a Germanic language, which is mind blowing for me. I don't know if you know what I mean.
No, but I know, like in Russian, like everything you read everything the way it's written. Where in English, it's
Yeah,
like
yeah, yeah. That's what I'm
most of
basically
the
saying.
time
Yeah.
you're like, okay, how do you say that word? And then you're just trying to remember it, and then when you see it, you don't really like read it. You just fucking try to remember how it's read.
Like for example, like pathogens, right? Like the word pathogens. You know,
Yeah.
you will just read like if it's written like in a different language, right? But like, somehow like the fucking people that made up the grammatical rules or the reading rules of the word could fucking, just change the pronunciation of the word from like
Yeah.
pathogens to pathogens. Like instead of pronouncing pa, you'll pronounce pathogens.
No, no, we
And
say pathogen.
I know, no, no, I know it's pathogens, but I'm just making an example
Yeah,
of
yeah.
like a
Some,
word.
yeah,
Like,
yeah, yeah,
it could have a different rule. It could have gotten a different fucking pronunciation rule, and the word
yeah.
pathogens could have been like pathogens instead of
Yeah,
pathogens, and it'll be grammatically correct.
yeah. It's just however people decided to like say it, and that's how the fuck people say it.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
like no rule, Wild West, no rules.
yeah. It's crazy. Okay,
Yeah, I
plat,
know. It's
uh,
true.
platelets are small, irregularly, yes, shaped cells that are involved in the process of blood clotting. When a blood vessel is damaged, platelets are activated and stick together to form a clot that seals a wound and stops bleeding. Um, Platelets are also produced in bone marrow and have a lifespan of about 7 to 10 days. Uh, and you asked me for how long did they conduct this study, like the second study that I told you about. Of The subjects were studied over the course of 2 days. On the first day, they were exposed to urban environment, and on the second day, they were exposed to forest environment. And this study was designed to compare the difference in autonomic nervous system activity between the two environments and to investigate individual variations in those responses. And you asked me about the tier study or like the elder ones. Um, so you asked me, was it conducted during pollen season? And from June to September, during this period, the study participants were randomly assigned to either the forest bathing group or to the control group. The forest therapy program consisted of a total of 16 seasons. I mean, sessions, not seasons, sorry. 16 sessions with participants attending the session once a week for 4 months. And the polling season in Japan runs from February to May with the peak period in March and April. And yeah, the study was in Japan.
Wait, what? Which one is that? Is that the natural killer cells, or is that
The
the
third one, we're
which
talking about
study?
the third one, about the
Or the-
elder ones. Remember that, they had like a guided tour, I mean, a guide in like the forest walks.
And I did that, for 4 months,
Yeah, yeah, something like that. Yes,
like
four
once a
months.
week.
Yeah, and they had like sessions. It's not like every day. They had 16 sessions over the lapse of
Uh,
like 4 months.
Okay, and it was two groups. So one group only got 16 sessions of forest, and another group only got 16 sessions of
Yeah,
the urban.
yeah.
Okay, can you share screen and maybe run through the results of that study again?
Uh, what I was gonna say? Okay, I'll write them. Results. The forest bathing group has significant improvements in cognitive. Okay, let me pause it and screen share.
Read me the results.
Okay. Okay, the forest bathing group has significant improvement in cognitive function compared to the control group. Specifically, they showed improvement in the digit span test with a p-value of lesser than 0.05, trail making test with a p-value of lesser than 0.05, and Stroop test with a p-value of lesser than 0.05. There was no significant difference between the groups in the Ray Osterich complex figure test. In addition, the forest bathing group has a significant decrease in pulse rate by p-value lesser than 0.001, and salivary cortisol levels with a p-value of lesser than 0.005, indicating a relaxation response. There was no significant difference in blood pressure between the groups. The forest bathing group showed a significant decrease in pulse rate after the intervention compared to the control group. The mean pulse rate from the forest bathing group decreased from 70.2 to 66.4 beats per minute, while the mean pulse rate for the control group increased from 70.1 to 70 from 70.1 to 71.5 beats per minute. This suggests that forest bathing might have a relaxing effect on the body, reducing psychological stress and promoting a sense of calmness. The control group did not show a significant change in pulse rate after their urban walking program. Salivary cortisol levels. Cortisol is a hormone that is released by the body in response to stress. The forest bathing group showed a significant decrease in salivary cortisol levels after the intervention compared to the control group. The mean salivary cortisol levels for the forest bathing group decreased from 0.203 to 0.174 micrograms per deciliter, while the mean salivary cortisol levels for the group increased from 0.191 to 0.211 micrograms per deciliter. This suggests that forest bathing might have a stress-reducing effect, which could have contributed to the observed improvements in cognitive function. The control group did not show a significant change in salivary control levels after the urban walking program. So yeah, those are the results.
Okay.
And on the paracetam, this was a pain in the ass, like trying to find studies related to like addiction. You know, I went through like multiple studies and like I only found this. Okay, so this was a 10-week double-blind placebo-controlled pilot trial involving 44 cocaine-dependent subjects. Um, Subjects received either paracetam 4.8 grams per day and ginkgo biloba 120 milligrams per day or a placebo. And subjects were the participants were required to attain abstinence from cocaine during a 2 week period baseline, and demonstrated by providing at least one benzoyl how do you pronounce it? It's basically like the study that analyzes whether you've been consuming cocaine or not. But benzoylecgonine, fuck, benzoylecgonine, and as long as it was negative, they will proceed with the experiment. Um, Outcome
So it's
measures.
2 weeks. So it's 2 weeks of no cocaine before the study.
Yeah.
Okay.
Outcome measures include treatment retention, urine toxicology screens, clinical global impression, CGI scores, and the result from the addiction severity index. The subjects were 44 addicted to cocaine or cocaine dependent men and women between the ages of 18 and 60. Psychiatric diagnoses were obtained by master level clinicals using the structured clinical interview for cocaine addicts or cocaine dependency. Um, and the metrics, were like medical screening, including a complete medical history and physical examination conducted by a certified nurse practitioner, baseline laboratory testing, including chemistry screen, complete blood count, urinalysis, urine pregnancy testing. And I tried to look up for like the results of the metrics, right? Like the studies done and shit like that. There was none. I looked for it for like 30 fucking minutes in multiple websites. There was none. It's like they don't want, you know, the values given by the test out there or whatnot. But the results were that ginkgo biloba was not superior to placebo in any outcome measure, and paracetamol was associated with more cocaine use and lower CGI
Uh,
scores. And CGI is clinical global impression scores, which is um, a test that the addicted take, and you come up with your conclusion of, I believe, how addicted, how hooked up is a person. So yeah, neither paracetam nor ginkgo biloba appears to be promising medication for the treatment of cocaine dependency.
well, it seems like particularly sensory indicated for treatment.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Like it makes you slightly more hooked up, and I found like this interesting like thing about paracetam and alcohol. Okay, 12 months alcohol feeding to rats significantly increased the formation of lipofuscin, an age-related waste pigment in brain cells. Even high doses of paracetam to the alcohol-fed rats reduced their lipofuscin levels significantly below the control levels. In 1997, it was demonstrated paracetamol reduced neuronal loss following chronic alcohol consumption. Paracetam enhances cognition under conditions of uh, hypoxia and also enhances memory learning when paracetam is taken with choline. There is a synergistic effect that causes greater improvement in memory. Uh, do you know what's choline?
Choline,
Yeah, choline. Yeah,
choline.
yeah. But like I was reading about it, and when I was reading making my research about like paracetamol and stuff like that, and apparently some people that start taking paracetamol, not all of them, but some people have very low levels of choline, right? Choline,
Choline, yeah.
and they need to start consuming a lot of eggs or like choline as a supplement when they take paracetamol. Otherwise, the effect is not as good on them. Like the paracetamol effect is not as effective on them, right? Or like they started experiencing like headaches and mind fog rather than having beneficial aspects to the consumption of paracetamol. So yeah, some people apparently they had to take choline in order to to exploit the benefits of fucking paracetamol efficiently, because
Maybe
apparently
it
like
kind of
your
sounds.
brain requires choline or something like that, like when you're using your brain energy like or whatnot to like memorize
Memory.
something or like
Yep.
fucking learn something.
I
So
mean, kind of sounds like paracetamol is pretty questionable
huh
when it comes to like real world applications.
with
Like it has a bunch of theory and a bunch of statements. Oh, it's great, but like it sounds like when it comes to like experiments, it doesn't really stand to its to its accolades of like what people say about it beforehand.
mm.
uh, yeah, maybe that's not really what we're looking for.
Okay, well, I'm gonna keep going with the what I got.
Oh yeah, yeah.
12 months alcohol feeding to rats significantly increased formation of lipofuscin, an age-related waste pigment in brain cells. Even high dosage of paracetam to the alcohol-fed rats reduced their lipofuscin levels significantly below both the control and alcohol no paracetam rat levels. Paracetam antagonized the normally lethal neuromuscular blockade which halts breathing, induced by mice by intravenous hemicolium 3 is like basically like a drug that induces like learning deficit and compromises your cognitive senses. And paracetamol also blocked the lethal neuromuscular blockade induced in cats by the turbocurane anesthesia. So basically, it was like anesthesia, the turbocurane, and pretty much implies that it blocked the paracetamol blocked the lethal neuromuscular blockade induced in cuts by the tubal current. So basically, the anesthesia wasn't as effective. Paracetamol reversed learning and memory deficit in mice caused by the anticholinergic substance uh, hemicolium 3, which is like the drug that uh, fucking what's the word that I'm looking for? uh, inflicts learning disability. When mice were given oxydipentonium or another anesthesia, uh, a short-acting courier-like agent which halts breathing at a dose sufficient to kill 90% of one group and 100% of another group of placebo treated controls. The two groups of paracetam treated mice had a 19 and 100% survival rate. So basically, when they gave them that, and apparently that drug kills the fucking mice by a percentage of 90 to 100 percentage with paracetam, they're fucking alive somehow.
What did they give them? What was the toxic
It was
substance?
basically like anesthesia, oxydibenthonium. It's like an
Uh, like
anesthesia.
like ov- like overdose on anesthesia.
It didn't say how much, but apparently it has like the dose that they gave them, it was like sufficient enough to kill like 90 to 100 percentage of them. But when they were on paracetam, they fucking survived.
Yeah.
Wild.
Yeah, but we're not trying to poison ourselves and survive the poison, right?
Yeah, yeah.
It's not our goal to survive poisons.
I know, I know. No,
But
no,
yeah,
no.
it's
But like,
it's weird,
yeah,
and
yeah.
I don't know how that works.
I mean, I'm just I don't know, just added like random fucking studies
Yeah,
that I
yeah,
found of paracetam because the rest on regards to addiction was, non-existent.
yeah. No, that's cool. It's still interesting. Yeah, for sure.
Okay, okay, okay. Hexachlorophene or HCP is a toxic chemical that induces edema, membrane damage, and increased sodium and decreased potassium in cells. HCP was used in shampoo, soaps, and other personal care products until about a decade ago. Rats were fed HCP orally for 3 weeks, then given PR, like paracetam, or one of five other drugs by injection for 6 days. HCP seriously disrupted the rat's ability to navigate a horizontal ladder without frequently falling off. Paracetam reduced the fall rate by 75% compared to a injected saline injected control groups on the first day of treatment. None of the other drugs came close to the improvement. So pretty much implies that your balance gets better with paracetam, I guess. Uh,
Well, I mean, but they again like poison them, right?
yeah, yeah,
So it's not really that the balance gets better. It's that paracetam maybe is good against some poisons.
yeah, yeah.
It's
Uh,
a little bit different.
Paracetam increases the
Or
survival rate. Wait, say it again.
or it blocks some actions of some of the poisons. Paracetam.
Yeah, Aldo. On regards to the choline, like reviews that I was reading, like probably only like 15 percentage out of the 100 were complaining about needing calling, like 10, 20, 15 percentage. But the other ones
Yeah, but I mean, yeah, but the rest maybe like, didn't even know what pollen is, and so they didn't complain because they didn't even know what pollen is to start with.
But will it really be like? Are you implying that they were just placebo, like a lot of them, or what do you mean? Like they actually required the calling, or
No, I mean, maybe the other ones would have complained that they needed pollen as well if they knew what pollen is to start with. I mean, maybe like more scientifically, like enlightened people, like figured all this shit out, and they were like, "Oh yeah, I needed choline with it." But other people weren't as scientifically enlightened, so they didn't even know about choline. To start, they just took paracetamol, and so they didn't complain about it
yeah,
because they didn't know anything about choline.
they didn't know better. Yeah, basically, that makes sense. What I was gonna say? Okay, paracetamol increases the survival rate of rats subjected to severe hypoxia. When mice and rats and rabbits have been put under diverse experimental hypoxic conditions, aka like low oxygen, paracetamol has acted to alternate or reverse the hypoxia-induced amnesia, and learning difficulties while accelerating post-hypoxic recovery time. When a single 2,400 milligrams dose of paracetamol was given to humans tested under 10.5 percentage, equivalent to 5,300 meters, or you know 17,000 feet altitude, ape movement reflexes were enhanced while breathing rate and uh, uh, choice reaction time were reduced by paracetamol.
Interesting.
Yes.
So I guess if you're running on low oxygen, or like maybe
Yeah.
people with heart failure could benefit from paracetamol because their body oxygen drops pretty heavily.
Yeah. Uh, Electroconvulsive shock, or ACS, is a powerful disruptor of learning and memory. When a group of rats were taught to avoid a dark cubicle within their cage. I wonder, like when I was reading this, I was like, do they really have rat trainers in like the fucking laboratories and shit like that? Like, come here, professional rat trainer, teach these fuckers to fucking do a flip.
Probably just standard protocols. Like every time the mouse like enters that room, it gets shocked, and at some point the mouse is like, "Well, I'm not gonna fucking enter that room because I get shocked in there."
Yeah, makes sense. Huh. True, true. But yeah, I was saying, dark cubicle within their cage. There was 100% retention of the learned behavior 24 hours later. Uh, Giving a maximal electroconvulsive shock right after learning caused the learning retention rate to drop to 20 percentage at, at 24 hours later in the control group, while the paracetam treated electroconvulsive shocked rats still had 100 percentage retention of the avoidance behavior 24 hours later. Other experiments with mice, rats, and rats show paracetam's ability to enhance to attenuate or reverse electroconvulsive shock induced amnesia. Uh,
So that was that was did those mice eat the paracetamol after the or I guess they would have had to eat it before the
yeah,
shock,
yeah,
right?
before.
So it wouldn't work that like somebody who gets like traumatic brain injury can eat paracetamol after the fact. Like they would fucking need to know that they're about to get traumatic brain injury and eat a bunch of paracetamol,
No, no, but
knowing that they're
apparently
about to get.
for people with like brain injuries, Alzheimer's and shit like that, perhaps even it's even more beneficial to them than your average Joe, based on the studies that I have read. Like if you have um, cognitive impairments or brain injuries, paracetam works even better than if you're just your average Joe and you wanna like boost up or enhance your cognitive senses.
Mm, interesting.
Yeah, yeah. Um,
Like you mean after the fact, like when they're already sick,
yeah, so
with
they're
they
already
already
like
have
fucked up.
problems.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Oh, okay.
Like they're already
That,
diagnosed and
that's
they're
interesting.
already dealing with uh cognitive
Problems or
impairments.
whatever. Oh
Yeah.
yeah, it like helps.
Yep. Um, when given fast-acting barbiturate secobarbital, which is like a sedative hypnotic medication, combined with paracetam injected 1 hour before the secobarbital, 10 out of 10 rabbits survived with only minimal abnormalities in their electrocardiogram records. The electrocardiogram records, um, the electrocardiogram records the electrical activity of large groups of cortical neurons and also reflects several oxygen glucose metabolism and blood flow. Only 3 out of 10 rabbits given the secobarbital, which is like the sedative drug, with saline injection survived, and most of the groups electrocardiograms records showed rapid onset of electrical silence followed quickly by death. When secobarbital was given to rabbits combined with paracetam, 8 out of 9 survived with only 3 out of 9 saline fed controls surviving. The electrocardiogram records of both groups were similar to those of the rabbits given intravenous. How do you pronounce that word? Like when it's through the blood,
Intravenous,
intravenous. Yeah, yeah, intravenously.
intravenous.
Yeah, intravenously, paracetam and saline solutions. So yeah, apparently, fucking paracetam makes wild animals immortal or some shit.
Yeah, yeah, basically like it's anti poison, anti fucking uh like I don't know. If you're gonna get like fucking electrocuted
Yeah,
or some shit or poison,
yeah,
then eat a bunch of paracetam.
you'll be fine, right?
Maybe 8 out of 9 chances you'll be fine.
Yeah, it's a,
It's like something that like an assassin should carry in his bag in case he gets poisoned.
yeah. uh, that's
Like
fucking hilarious.
antidote.
What's the name of that fucking chart that electrocutes you to death when you're like sentenced to death? Yeah, that's a
Yeah,
life hack.
it should be
The
like
life hack that the custodies don't want the inmates to know. You just take it and you fucking survive.
yeah, just pretend that you died and then they carry you out and you're like, fuck yeah, this paracetam.
Yeah, yeah. You like pretend dead, right? Pretend to be
The
dead, and
black
they're
black
they're,
market
they're about to
of
fucking like,
paracetam in
yeah, yeah.
prison.
They pretend that, I mean, you pretend you're dead, right? You just play dead basically, and when they're about to bury you, right? They're about to bury you. You just fucking open the casket and you start sprinting out of there. Psych! I'm alive.
or be like, this is a miracle. This is a miracle.
Yeah.
I hear a voice telling me that all my like I'm forgiven and I'm raised from the dead and all that.
Oh,
And
that's
everybody's
fucking
like,
hilarious.
it is a miracle. He's been forgiven.
Yeah,
I don't
the
know.
savior saved him.
Well, the divine judgment must have decided that he's been he paid for his for
Yeah, meant for his
sin.
mistakes.
Yes.
Yeah.
uh,
That's fucking hilarious. What I was gonna say, I also got the Norris study, but this one is for like art study. How like, uh, oh, basically, it balances out, decreases your cortisol levels, and if you have like high cortisol levels, you tend to have like high blood pressure, more likely to have cardiovascular diseases, but also it affects your mood. Like people with high um, cort- um, cortisol levels, they tend to be more stressed, be more depressive, and unease overall. So yeah, um, study included 39 participants, age 18 to 30, 59. Um, and it was like from a large urban university. It was what I was gonna say. It was like the ethnicities were like African American, Asian American, and white, and it was 33 women and 6 men. The study was approved by the University Institutional Review Board, and they recruited the 39 participants, and their method of recruiting was using emails and flyers. Basically, do the experiment, get paid. uh, um, the study involved a 1 hour session with 45 minutes of art making and 50 minutes for consent and data collection. Participants provided their prior art making experience and a saliva sample before and after the session. They were invited to make art using various materials of with no expectations of creating a final artwork. Oh, sorry. And the first fuck, sorry. And the first author was available to provide assistance or remain quietly present after completing their artwork. Participants shared their experiences, and a second saliva sample was collected. And so you know they ran out of time of like creating art. They collected a saliva sample. The samples were transported to a lab for analysis, with the analyst blind to the source of the samples and now analyzing them in duplicate to reduce errors. The minimum number of participants required for a medium effect size. Minimum number of participants required for a medium effect size was 35. Um, Change in participants' pre-test and post-test stress levels were measured
That's where. Hey, let me say something. Like that's where that type two, type one error comes in. Is like they basically say, well, like let's say the true population mean is the medium effect size, like medium effect. Then like how many samples do we need to get a statistically significant positive result? And then they say, and then they get that number, and then they see they get statistically significant positive result. Because if the effect of if the true effect was medium
what?
size,
Uh-huh.
then that number would be sufficient for a statistically significant test.
Why would they
But
not
that
say some like? Why would they not use like statistical terms and just say like type one error instead of saying that?
and just different ways to say it. I mean, it's not really like uh,
So in other words,
uh,
you gotta like get um how can I put it?
it's like
You gotta get used to other terms of saying like type 2
yeah,
error, type like there's different terms used outside the
yeah.
statistical spectrum that are used for
No,
statistics,
no.
or
I
what
mean,
do you mean?
it's still within the statistical spectrum. Just well, A, like different terms to describe it, and B, it's like similar idea, but different way of doing it,
Oh,
but like
okay.
pretty much the same idea sometimes. So
Oh,
sometimes
okay.
it's just similar idea, just different exact way of doing it,
Oh,
and
okay.
sometimes it's just the exact same way, but like just the different term, but it's like synonym.
Oh, okay.
Um, but But it's like if they were saying that, okay, well, test this. Like if we were saying, let's test this supplement, and if it is like fish oil good, like what's the minimum number of samples do we need to have low enough type 2 error, to if it is like fish oil good, and if it's not, then we don't care. It's not gonna like uh, be statistically significant anyways. And if it's not fish oil level good, then we don't really care to get a positive, statistically significant result anyways. But if
Interesting.
it is a fish oil good, like how many samples do we need to have low type 2 error? and then
Okay.
and then they do their experiment. Yeah. So that's where it's used, I suppose.
Okay. Uh, w-
Is the design
I
of
mean,
experiment.
yeah, yeah. What I'm understanding also as well, that it also depends on the model. Like you said, it depends on like the way they're conducting their study. Like it can vary, like the types of errors and like how they commit it. Right? Like, do you also imply that, or am I wrong?
Well, I think the main thing is that if they say, like, let's say true population mean is such that it's like medium effect size, then what's like the more samples we have, the smaller type 2 error we get. And
Yeah.
then but we can like they can figure out what's the minimum number of samples they need, or like minimum number of subjects, to get like small enough type 2 error. If they're like looking to see if it has medium sized effect, like if the true population mean is like medium sized effect, then what's the minimum number of
Okay.
subjects they need to test it. And then that's you know they kind of go with that when they design the experiment.
Interesting.
Because like, yeah, but I mean, like that's where it's used a lot of times, is just when they decide how many fucking subjects to have in a study.
I see. That's quite interesting. I'm gonna keep that in consideration, and I guess the more I keep learning about statistics, the more I'm gonna start getting used to like new terms and whatnot, and
Yeah.
realize that there is some um uh what's the word that I'm looking for? The synonyms for
Yeah.
what's the word that I'm looking for concepts in the statistical spectrum, or whatever you wanna call it. But
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. For
changes
sure.
in participants' pre-test and post-test stress levels were measured by a salivary cortisol measured in nanograms and milliliters. A paired sample test indicated significant reduction in cortisol following the intervention. Mean scores for cortisol levels and the pretest was uh, uh, M, or like I think that's, even though I haven't like learned about it, isn't like DM or like the major sample mean, like M. I remember watching a video in
Mu?
my
You
own.
mean you mean mu?
No, no, no. Just like there's
Uh,
a symbol.
just English letter M.
Yeah, yeah, but like also there is like a symbol used for like like major sample mean, something like that. I don't know.
No, I don't think there's like any standard for just English letter M.
Not
I
for M,
mean,
but like it's
it's
something like there is a symbol, not for M, but like there is a symbol of like major sample mean, uh, that looks kind of like,
I don't know, maybe.
yeah, yeah. I remember watching a video about it. Um, but yeah, what I was gonna say. Okay, so the M was wait, let me get closer to my screen. Um, equals to 17.82, and and the SD. I forgot where it was. I read it, but since
Standard deviation.
why would they not just put S or the sigma?
Uh, they're like again synonyms.
Okay.
Same term, just they use a different acronym.
They should use statistical terms. Who the fuck do they think they are? I think Brandon, don't you taught me right? They don't know nothing.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so SD is also
They
used for
they they're
standard deviation. Wow.
they're heretics. They're heretics going against the religion.
Yeah, basically. And the standard deviation was 5.11, and the bus test was m equals to 14.77, and the standard deviation was equal to 5.06. Um,
What are we looking at? Like what is this study?
art.
I don't know if I
How
missed it, but like
decreases your cortisol levels, and is correlated to like stress, depression, and if your cortisol levels are too high, you can have high blood pressure, cardiovascular diseases, losing like your muscles starts wearing off. Um, yeah,
oh, gotcha.
yeah. What I was gonna say, and the t value was, well, not the t. Wait, how, I do not understand what do they mean by this. The, uh, it was like it's like a t and like a 38, but like you know is that the t value, or they referring to like the t critical? Anyways, it just says,
Did they say it said T38?
yeah, yeah,
I mean,
equals
I
to,
think it's they're talking about time at 38, like
uh,
38, like is that like maybe 38 hours or 38? I don't know
okay.
what
it, it,
when they tested them,
it says,
38 minutes.
okay, it says equals to 4.54. I mean, in my terms, t is for the t distributions value, or the t critical. Fucking
In your
heretics, they don't
world.
know anything. Fucking
Yeah.
gonna review this fucking study into oblivion for not using statistical terms. Anyways,
Yeah.
equals to 4.54. Uh, differed significantly. Cortisol levels range from like 32.40 milliliters at pre-test, and from 25 um 25 zero I mean 25.00 milliliters. So basically the cortisol levels uh changed, they lowered when they were like performing art for like an hour, from um yeah cortisol range to, okay, yeah. Cortisol levels range from 32.40 milliliters to 5.05 milliliters at pretest, and from 25 milliliters to 5.01 milliliters at post tested. So yeah, it went from like 32.40 to like 25, and like 5.05 to like 5.01.
Interesting. Yeah.
And here is a chart. Do you want to see it?
No, I believe you. The cortisol went cortisol went down.
Yeah, but there is a chart, that shows the cortisol levels when they were like before they made art, and when they did art, and yeah, you can see a significant reduction in the cortisol levels.
How does it compare to like? Didn't I measure cortisol like as a function of that forest bathing?
Oh yeah, yeah, I remember one.
I wonder how that compares between them.
Mm. I could check that if yeah, yeah. Wait, yeah. Let me check. I could go upwards. Okay, in the court, it decreased from 0.203 to 0.174 micrograms per deciliter.
Okay, so like 15%.
Yeah. Uh,
And for and how much was it in paint art?
in the heart.
In art study?
Oh, in the art study. Okay. In the art study, it basically went from like this is before they did art 32.40 ng slash milliliters to 5.05 ng slash milliliters, and
Seriously? It went down by
no no
like
no no
five
no
times lower.
no 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 no. These were the measurements, both of them,
Oh,
before the art, and then on say the dart it went to like 25.00 ng slash milliliters to 5.01 ng slash milliliters.
what are you talking about? What? I don't understand why you're saying two numbers.
I mean,
Is that plus minus?
no. I'm reading it to you the way it is. Cortisol levels range from 32.40 ng slash milliliters to
Oh,
5 point,
that's the range.
yeah, from 5.05 ng milliliters at pretest, and from and when they were like when they were tested once they finished their art session of 1 hour, it was 25.00 ng slash ml, to 5.01 ng slash ml at post test, once they finish making art.
That's like exact same. 15%. It's like exactly the same difference, like for before after forest and before after
I mean, yeah, basically.
pretty
Uh,
pretty interesting.
yeah, I mean, basically, you're doing something that is meant to calm you down, relax you. So I guess you're
How long did they do the art for?
1 hour.
You know what I think they're fucking measuring?
Yeah.
Stupid. So, uh, so the reason the one reason why you wake up is because your body produces cortisol. Like that's how you wake up. You know, your body produces cortisol, and that's how your brain it wakes up when you wake up in the morning. You get a peak. That's when you get your peak in cortisol is in the morning,
Okay.
and then as the day goes on, cortisol goes down and melatonin goes up. So they're kind of two things that when one goes down, the other one goes up, and the other way around. And
Uh-huh.
so when it's like bedtime, your cortisol is very low. Is very low, and your melatonin is really high,
Uh-huh.
and that's how you fall asleep. So every hour you're awake, so you wake up with your peak at the peak of your cortisol, and then after that, every hour you're awake, your cortisol goes down by like 10%.
Mm-hmm.
So if in any given hour you test your cortisol, and then you test it and you retest it 1 hour later, it's gonna be about like 10% lower, just because it's going down from when you wake up to when you go to sleep. So basically, for a study, they measure the cortisol and then they measure it an hour later. Well, of course, it's going to be 10% lower because it's just fucking going down during the day. And then in the art study, the same thing is they fucking measure cortisol and then they measure cortisol again an hour later, and as it should, the cortisol it went down by 10%. And then if they measure it again 1 hour later, it's going to be 10%
But
lower.
it wouldn't
1 hour
make
later, 10% lower.
but it wouldn't make sense that the cortisol levels are lower when you're bathing, like like walking in the forest compared to the urban area. Like it will be very equal if that was the case, but in the forest walks, they're considerably lower compared to the urban walks. So
So the question there is why didn't cortisol go down in urban people? Because it was supposed to go down by like 10%
I think
over an
because it's a
hour.
relaxation effect that it gives you.
No, like even if you sit at home and you measure your cortisol right now, and you measure your cortisol in 1 hour, it's supposed to be like 10% lower in 1 hour. Like as a normal, like if your cortisol is not going to be lower by like 10% in 1 hour, then something like you're kind of unhealthy. Like that's
Oh,
what happens to people who are like have insomnia. They can't fall asleep or wake up, and it's like they're all fucked up. They have like health issues. It's because they don't get cortisol peak and then cortisol trough, as they say.
mm,
But when as a normal person, you get cortisol peak in the morning. That's how you wake up, and then cortisol trough at night. But basically, that means that every hour you're awake during the day, you better have like 10% lower cortisol for every hour you're awake. Because if you don't, then you need to change your lifestyle or something.
yeah. Makes
Yeah.
sense.
So the question here is why what was wrong with the people who did urban walk that their cortisol stopped going down? you know,
Mm,
it's like maybe that was particularly unhealthy or some shit,
yeah, yeah.
because it's supposed to go down every hour.
I mean, I kind of think that still, like the forest base, like even though both might decrease over time as they will naturally you know have to do so. uh I feel like maybe your environment could also cause them to go a little bit lower or a little bit higher. I don't know, because like like I told you,
Maybe a little bit.
yeah, maybe like 5
I mean,
10 percentage, because
but that's freaking wild that they fucking didn't think about it. That fucking for every hour awake, your cortisol is supposed to dump quite a bit.
yeah,
And I mean, just the fact that it's fucking the same value between the forest and the art, it makes me think that it's actually like just exactly the normal way how cortisol is supposed to be, even if they were sitting at home doing nothing.
yeah.
Just because of how similar it is, between the two.
Yep. What I was gonna say, but yeah, your theory seems like it could be plausible, like very likely. But I still think that there is a small difference in my opinion. Like probably there is a small difference considering the data. Like it might not be huge, but I think it's gonna be there.
It's like exactly no, it's exactly 15%. I mean, like 15% in forest before after,
No, no, no.
and
But like,
art
okay,
before
yeah, yes. But
after.
like, let's say that your cortisol
Oh my
levels.
god,
What?
look at this shit. I mean, okay, like fucking okay. I'm looking at it right now. At 6 a.m., not six, like 6:30. So somewhere between 6:30 and 7:30 a.m. on in a normal person, your cortisol goes to like fucking seven what is this, nanograms per milliliter. At the fucking 11 p.m. it
Yeah.
goes down to point 0.5, 0.5.
Mhm.
It goes from 7 to 0.5 in 12 hours.
Mhm.
So that's like fucking let's see, seven and a half. So that's 7.5. Yeah, it goes from 7.5 at like 7 a.m. to 0.5 at 11 p.m.
Huh.
I think that's pretty much exactly 15% per hour dump.
I see.
Like every hour you lose 15% of your cortisol.
Interesting.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure like that like 0.5 to 0.5 in 12 hours is dumping 15% per hour.
I mean, since you're gonna be doing the forest experiments, you should definitely wait. Never mind. You will need the saliva fucking test
Yeah,
to.
I wouldn't I wouldn't know how to get that done.
Yeah,
Not something people usually test.
yeah.
But
Uh,
I mean, obviously, it sounds like there was like other effects from the forest thing. But I'm not sure there was other effects from the art thing though. Is that pretty much the only thing that they fucking report?
yeah, yeah.
Cortisol.
Yeah, yeah. The levels were lowered for more than for some than
That is
the levels were
hilarious.
lowered more for some than the others. The error graph in reveals that changes in cortisol levels as they varied across all participants. The the pre-test and post-test levels were, however, strongly correlated. This indicates that um, overall, those with higher pre-test cortisol levels had higher post-test scores, and similarly, those with lower pre-test scores also had lower post-test scores. Overall, the cortisol levels were lowered after art making for approximately 75% of the sample. Cortisol levels stayed unchanged or were elevated for about 25%. So yeah, apparently, for the majority it lower, but for others like 25 percentage stay the same or you know elevated.
Yeah, there's obviously random error. Like quite like it's a range, but like the more data points you have, the better mean you get,
Of
like an
course.
average change in it. And on average, it's exactly I think 15% per hour on average.
Mm.
And so yeah, but like within a person, if you just measure one person, I think you can get kind of random numbers sometimes. Within like plus minus 50%. But like when you look, when you have enough, like the more people you look at, the better your mean is. The less it will change.
Makes
But
sense.
that's
I like
really
your
funny to me.
theory.
It's not a theory; it's a fact. You wake up with 7.5, you
No,
go
no,
to
no,
sleep
no.
with
I
zero
know that
point
that's a
0.5.
fact. I know that's a fact. I know, like you said it, but like okay, that's factual, right? But like what I think
Yeah,
is a theory that basically implying that like going on the walk to the forest, it might decrease the same amount of cortisol levels compared to just being there at your home, doing nothing. I think that, in my opinion, like if I had to speculate or whatnot, or just give out my opinion, I think that the effect is there regardless if it's minimal or not. Like it might not be significant, but it might be there. It might be 3-4 percentage, but I think that that might be plausible. I'm not saying that it's confirmed, but it might decrease a little bit more compared to just like doing nothing or going on a urban walk or something like that.
so like you expect them to like let's say lose 15% of their cortisol every hour, and if they report that that's exactly what they lost, 15%, you're like, well, you know you expected them to lose 15% before even you looked at the study, per hour.
Huh, I mean, but are you sure that this 15 percentage per hour?
Yeah, yeah. If you look you have 12 hours to go from 7.5 to 0.5. So if every hour you lose 15%, that's pretty much is going from 7.5 in 12.
Huh. Wait.
10%, you get 100% like in 10 hours. But here, it's like a compound interest. I don't know. Like I don't know. I'm trying to calculate, to be honest, right now.
Okay, let me pop off.
Let me see. Let me just share you a link of that. So like I said, at 7 a.m. it shows to be average of 7 nanograms per milliliter. And then at 11 p.m. it's at 0. Or maybe it's 0.8, 0.7. But let me send you the link what I'm looking at. So um, because it has the graph.
Hmm.
There we go. Yeah, if you open it, it has the graph of the cortisol. Okay, let's see. Type in. Let me see. What did I type in? Hours.
Huh.
I was trying to calculate it.
Wait. Can you repeat
Like
that again? Can you repeat that part again?
if you start at 7.5 or 7, if you start at
Yeah.
7, and then you decrease it by 15% every hour, in 15 hours you end up with about 0.5, 0.8.
Oh, okay.
So like you started with 7. In 1 hour, that 7 becomes like 6.3, and then in another hour it becomes minus another 10%, and then you'll end up with like 0.5. But I was
Okay.
trying to calculate, exactly, but I thought you were gonna do that, but I guess you didn't.
Oh, okay. No. Sorry. I didn't. But what I was gonna say, I think that wraps up the this part. Let's jump into the statistical side.
Yeah.
Arginine is an amino acid which is one of the building blocks of protein. It is an essential amino acid, which means that the body cannot produce it on its own and it must be obtained from the diet. Arginine is involved in a number of important functions in the body, including the production of nitric oxide, which helps to relax blood vessels and improve blood flow. It also is involved in the synthesis of proteins, wound healing, immune system function, and the regulation of hormone secretion. Arginine can be found in a variety of foods, including red meat, poultry, fish, dairy products, nuts, and seeds. It can be consumed as a supplement. And here we have arginine. Um, and what I did in the sample min is like I grab seven samples. Sorry. Um, I use a standard the standard deviation, sample standard deviation, and for the hypothesized mean, I use also 7 samples. But here, for like the overall samples, I use 30. I think that's
Did we
what.
have did did we have 30 samples for it? How many samples did we
No,
have?
no. For like no. The sample amounts that we had for arginine, it was like I don't remember, like 10 or something like that. And for fish oil, same thing, it was like 10 or 11. But what I did, remember that their hypothesized mean is from like times that you didn't consume it. So I grabbed like 30 previous days on each dam, that you didn't consume it, that I use it as your sample mean. And then I use like 7 to come up with like this result, right? And in overall, out of those 30 days, or real sample mean is like negative 0.158, right? For like 30 days or sample, or like true mean. um
No,
uh
that's not really right.
I thought that's what you told me to do, like, for
No,
like what.
the true mean we are the true population mean that we're talking about is for. I mean, I think it should be for the arginine. Like the days like I took arginine, like all of them versus just limited number.
Yeah, yeah, but you tell me, do you use 30 for the hypothesized mean, and there is only like 10? And if I remember correctly, when I asked you, and what I wrote down is like, for to get the t value, use 7 points for everything just to get like the t value. But on top of that, like separately, get like the hypothesized mean to, or like the true mean or whatever you wanna call it.
The true mean is of the effect, the true like mean of the effect. So it's not the not value, it's the value of the effect. So like in this case, it's like using getting your the second graph with a mean of 10, 10
Yeah,
samples when I took arginine, or like all of them, and that would be the true mean of taking arginine. And that would be the second graph.
yeah, yeah. Is
And
it top
and
one?
the first graph is mu naught with 7 points, but
Wait,
also
but
t
but but
value with
but
seven
wait, in
points.
like mu sub zero, like I told you before, I'm using values where you didn't take it to like come up with whether it's unhealthy or not. Like that's like what tells you the t value. Like basically this the x is when you took it, obviously, and the quantity of samples, or normal standard
Yeah,
deviation of x,
yeah.
and our hypothesized mean will be when you didn't take it. So I don't
So
understand.
t value uh, is your estimate of the effect
Yeah.
of the arginine,
Yes,
and
of course.
and that's the estimate. And then there's the true there's a true effect. And so that's the difference is we use
No,
all of the points to get the true effect, like or like the true effect distribution with
no,
its sample. Well, yeah,
no.
the mean.
I think that no, no, no. But like here, what we are using here, right, is pretty much indicating the hypothesis mean that this one is the real hypothesis. It's no longer hypothesis mean that this mean here, like this mu a, is the real true mean. That's what it indicates.
No, mu is just what we decided. Like we just picked that number to make our hypothesis. Is it bigger or smaller than that number? Like we could have picked any number for our hypothesis. Is it bigger? Like if it's bigger than our it's alternative hypothesis. If it's smaller, it's a null hypothesis. We could have picked any number, but we were like, well, for in
Are
our
you
case,
sure
let's
about
say
that?
it's a mu zero. Yeah, it's just like in the video where Brandon picked the number three for his hypothesis.
No, no, no.
So
He
he
didn't
picked it.
randomly pick it. It was from like previous like data that he collected.
No.
Yeah.
It was no. It was when you read the design of the experiment, it was Starbucks is interested whether or not their satisfaction score is higher than 3, or is it 3 or lower, and that was the question they asked. But they could have asked it about Starbucks is interested to know if their satisfaction score
No,
is
no, no.
3.5 or
But
lower,
but the
or
thing that
2.5 or lower.
but there was something like related to like another video, something like the average or whatnot. It was like 3. So we're gonna like uh,
No, no,
I can find
no. The
it.
average you can find it. Sure, try it.
Yeah,
The
yeah.
average was 3.5, I think, or 3.6, something like that.
Yeah, maybe,
I
maybe
don't know.
that, maybe that. Yeah, maybe
Yeah,
that. But there was something like average.
but he picked three randomly. Like the Starbucks just decided let's pick three and see whether or not our satisfaction score is higher or lower than 3. So
Okay.
that wasn't based on data. That was just the question they asked. And in our case, we decided to ask a question: is it big or smaller than mu naught? But we just like mu naught, we just picked it. It's not really related to the statistical analysis. It's just our question.
Okay. So basically,
We could have said like bigger or smaller than 0, or we could have said bigger or smaller than 0.1. But in this case, we said bigger or 0 than mu naught, which we just calculate separately.
yeah, yeah. Well, yeah. This true mean in the top, and this one is like a fake mean, right? And what I was
Well,
gonna.
true and fake mean of not using the arginine.
Uh, but I'm still like a little bit confused. Uh, in those points, okay, in here.
Well, okay, let's see. Let's see. Like so mu equals so let's say we forget about mu at all. We just say 0.08. We like our hypothesis is that the alternative hypothesis is that effect of arginine or our x, our hypothesis, the null hypothesis of our x is 0.08 or smaller, and our alternative hypothesis is x is bigger than 0.08. But we have no mu or anything. We just say 0.08.
Okay.
And so like try to do this whole thing, assuming that that's our question is our null hypothesis is smaller or equal 0.08, and our alternative hypothesis is more than 0.08. Like we don't have a mu naught. Like mu naught is not even in the statistical analysis anymore. Like
Okay.
we just pick a number 0.08.
Uh,
Like in the Starbucks example, they pick 3, and we decide to pick 0.08.
I think I gonna get it. So what will you have put here? Wait, my bad. Here in
So the mean,
the true mean of the alternative hypothesis.
yeah, yeah. So the true mean would be the mean of all samples of the arginine after I ate it, while the t value in the bottom one would be the t value using the 7 samples, and the curve in the bottom is
So
just a
are you,
curve based on
in
our
other
question.
words, we will be putting x here, like the x value?
Well, uh, yeah, but it will be the true. Well, we'll assume that we got the true population mean correctly from 10 samples,
So
and then the
basically,
bottom
you're
one.
saying that in these 7 samples, like let's say assume that we only had 7 samples, we had like 10, but you told me to only use 7. Like for example, here, this value of x in the true mean, I should put it here, and here I should put like one that is, 1 digit less, like for one number less. For example, here it will be like 0.257, and at the bottom like 256.
No, our mu naught is 0.08.
Or mu what?
Well, not even mu. Like forget about mu naught. Uh, our our mean of the bottom graph. The bottom graph would be centered on 0.08 because our question is like null hypothesis is what is it? Uh, I'm trying to
Unhealthy.
remember. Well, so okay. So null hypothesis and healthy. Then null hypothesis is it's 0.08
I'm
or
still very
higher.
confused on regards to, like, the values here. I don't know if you're looking at the chart, and like the mu fucking null and the mu alternative values. Like, I'm still very confused.
So
Like,
so so where Brandon just picked the value 3,
yeah.
just because they wanted to know is it bigger or smaller than 3. We in our case it's mu naught. We just want to know is it smaller or bigger than mu naught. And it doesn't, and it's like we decide how we calculate mu naught. That's like Brandon didn't even show how he calculated 3. But in our case, we calculate our mu naught using whatever method we decide to calculate it with. But that part wasn't even in the Brandon's presentation because he just gave the number 3. But in our case, we actually calculate the mu naught, which is in his case 3. In our case, mu naught equals 0.086, for example. So
But
that one,
how do I calculate it?
it doesn't it's not really related to like it's nothing that Brandon covered because it just depends on the question. But in our case, we can just fucking use 7 samples or whatever we decide makes sense is fine. It's not really
Yeah, but I'm like literally
uh,
clueless. So I'm like asking you like,
so we can well I guess 7 10 I guess 10 I guess we just fucking use all 10 points to calculate mu naught because it's not really part of with the
yeah, but what
analysis, so
formula
might as
do I
well use
use?
all just the average
Okay,
average of 10 points of
uh-huh.
no arginine, uh,
Of no
average of
arginine.
right that's
Yeah,
the mu naught in the bottom graph.
that's what I've been using, like that's what I've been doing.
Yeah, yeah, I'm not saying that's wrong. The mu naught in the bottom graph is not wrong. The wrong part is the top graph.
How?
In in the top graph, it's not mu naught. Uh, in the top graph, it's mu of the graph that is not mu naught. It's a mu of the all data points of the arginine after I took arginine.
No, no,
So
no, no.
that's the mean of the top graph.
No, no, no. Okay. So like, okay. So basically, uh, okay. I guess I'm wrong, but I'm still a little bit confused in regards to like how I'm like wrong. Okay. So like 7 points, right? I mean, seven values here or samples. Sorry, and then I use 7 values to get like the hypothesized mu or like mu sub zero and the sample standard deviation and the sample mean, right? And then for like the overall, because I think you assumed that we had 30 points. I ended up like using 30 points where you didn't consume it, that were like the closest that when you consume it, like previous days in each data point. And I guess
No, there's no point. There's no that step is not supposed to be taken. The only step you're supposed to take is the first one when you calculate the mu naught of the bottom graph. That's the you don't not recalculate mu naught the second time. That's the only mu naught you calculate is the first time.
yeah, that's what I was doing previously, but you said to take 30 points. Like, that's what you told me yesterday. Like, that's.
Well, in this case, we're talking about 10 points because we only have 10 points. We only are concerned with 10 points.
I,
There is no 30 points in this experiment.
I know there was no 30 points, but that's what you wanted me to do. So I'm like, okay, well, I wrote that down, what you wanted me to do. Maybe you were confused thinking that there was 30 points, but there was none. And
Which is
that's why.
correct. I was confused
What?
about 30 points.
Wait,
Which
what?
is correct. I was confused that there was 30 points and the reason, but then you just use the most number of points, which is 10.
Yeah, yeah, but this basically what I was doing this entire time doing the charts, just grabbing like the previous day of each point. So, in other words, the uh, I would not have committed this error, I believe, if I will have not used like the 30 points.
I don't think you get how you calculate the mean of the top graph.
Yeah, just with the true mean, which will be like the averages that I've been doing. Like take like for example, if you took arginine like the 20, I will take like the 19 and so on for the
No,
rest of the points. No,
no.
how do you do it?
You take like the mean of the top graph is you take the health index on the 20th and the same thing for all others and the average of that. The top graph is the mean of the top graph is supposed to be of the arginine is the actual effect is the actual mean of the health indexes after you take arginine. That's the true population mean is of the effects.
So in other words, the sample mean value.
Well, I mean, in this case, we're pretending that our sample mean is the 7 values, and that's our t value. but our true mean is the 10 value. So it would be the mean based on the 10 values because we
Oh,
pretend that that's the true population
oh,
mean.
so in other words, you're saying like you get like the t value with we're gonna be getting the t value with 7 samples, but our true mean is gonna be
Yeah,
out of like 10 samples.
but it will be the mean of arginine, like
Yeah, yeah.
absolute
So it
absolute
will be
arginine. Yeah,
basically if we were getting the x of 10 samples for our true mean, right?
yeah, yeah,
Okay, I get
and
it.
that's
Finally, let me breathe really quick.
uh,
There you go.
that's why your two graphs are like fucking centered on each other, while like in Brendan video they're not centered on each other. They're like quite a bit separated from each other.
Oh, but
It's because it's two different values.
oh, no, 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 no. But like, regardless if the value was changed, it will like make sense because, for example, like this one is like lesser or equal than minus 0.157, and like we are assuming that this midpoint or the hypothesized mean, not like the true mean or whatnot, it's like zero, uh, uh, 0 point, I mean, negative 0.157. Does it make sense or not?
And I'm not sure, but another thought I had was like in this case maybe it's better to use 5 samples for the t value and 10 samples that we pretended they give us the population mean of the arginine effect.
Mm.
We should get bigger difference, and that way the mean of the taking arginine effect will be quite a bit different from 10 samples than the 5 samples,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
think.
Yeah, yeah, but like if we want to make sense in regards, for example, like this chart, it does make sense. Like we cannot really quote Brandon in terms of like the standard curve because here we're trying to find whether it's unhealthy or healthy, right? And we already know that zeros are neutral. So if we're trying to find, for example, or null hypothesis, or mu will the null hypothesis mu is greater or equal to, right? Where will it will be like or equal, like or midpoint point in like the bottom chart? Zero, right? And
Like,
greater it will be like the unhealthy side. So therefore
yeah,
like
yeah.
the midpoint is the equal and the greater side is the unhealthy side. So how will
Right.
like does it make sense? Because we're
No,
trying
I
to
mean
find where it's unhealthy.
you're still doing your hypothesis test correctly using the 7 points.
Yeah, yeah.
You do that curve with the mean, and then the t value falls on the right, and then you can do the critical value and see if it's below or above the critical value, and
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
how we. Yeah, all that works. But for a type 2 error, you compare that, you compare that to
Yeah,
the
yeah.
true population, the true effect of the arginine, basically.
Yeah, yeah, I get it. And I know
And
how you already explained me how to fix it, I believe. But to continue.
yeah, and but you do the null and alternative hypothesis opposite between the fish oil and the arginine, because fish oil is healthy and arginine
I
is
did I did it
unhealthy.
with
So
the
you
fish
got you
oil
got
too. I did it up the opposite for the fish oil.
yeah,
But I
yeah.
made
You just I guess yeah,
the
you got to
same
correct
error.
that.
The same error
Yeah,
with
yeah.
the Trumin. That's the only thing that I did incorrectly.
Yep, yeah. And then also, like, I guess just maybe use half of the points. Just whatever the maximum number of
Yeah,
points,
it was
you
divided by
use
two.
half.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or actually, you know what? I take it back. Let's do 5 points for the t value, like for both of them, but use all of the points for the true population.
Yeah,
Mean,
yeah. Okay.
like
Yeah.
whether it's 10 or 12 or it doesn't matter. Like just use all of them. But as far as the t value, just use 5.
Okay, I get it. Yeah, yeah, for sure. I'll do it. I'll
Nice.
correct it
And
tomorrow.
the way it would
I mean
work is
later.
we get our type 2 error, And then like every time we test a new supplement, we'll be like, okay, so if the supplement is as healthy as fish oil, our type 2 error will be such and such if we only use 5 data points, if we only get 5 sample points of it. And so we'll be able to say, like what's the risk of us, discarding a supplement even though it's as healthy as fish oil at 5 samples. And then
Okay.
the same thing we can say, okay, but if this new supplement is as bad as arginine, this is going to be our type 2 error with just 5 points.
Makes
And that
sense.
that will be the risk of us saying that it's healthy or neutral when it's actually as bad as arginine.
Makes sense.
The
Okay, now I
type
fully
2
get
error
it.
yeah, type 2 error should be the same, as we go with new supplements at like 5 samples. That will give us an idea of how wrong we might be at 5 samples, for every supplement.
Makes sense. Okay, I
Yeah,
fully get it. Also, um, yeah, I think I fully got it, bro. I'm gonna
nice,
correct
nice.
that for tomorrow, and fuck around with other what is it called? With other things that you have taken and see the results too, and do some health research.
Nice. Yeah, man. I feel like I've never understood that type 2 error as well as I understand it now.
Yeah.
It's like I'm like fucking like absorbing it into the deepest parts of my brain.
Uh, I
It's
mean,
like,
and I'm glad that you're there to like correct me. Like damn, like
yeah, yeah. Like when I watched it on my own the first time, like I barely understood anything, and like I remembered almost nothing after. But like now that you've been working it, and I've been trying to help you, like I really fucking grasped it.
yeah,
I really somehow like it like started really make sense to me.
yeah. I mean, I fully got everything. The only thing that I didn't like understand was like the fucking drumming. But fucking Brenda never explained that. So like, how the fuck am I supposed to know that?
Yeah, it was like I said, like when I watched it the first time, like I mean, maybe I kind of grasped like 70% of it, but it was so surface like, I would have never been able to apply it. Like if I had to like try to apply it even immediately after the video, I would
Yeah,
have been so confused. I would have been like, okay, I thought I understood it, but now I have no fucking idea.
I
But like
see,
after when I watched it the second time, and like I kind of worked with you on this stuff, it like applying it to real world, is where like I started to really grasp the concept.
bro. I'm preparing my fingers for the thousand fucking hatred, full of hatred, fucking comment on Brandon's
Oh,
YouTube
and he
video.
made the fucking mistakes too. He made mistake. Like I already told you he made a mistake in an example. But when I was watching that video on type 2 error, like
Yeah.
he made another mistake. Uh, like where he says, 4 different sides, A, B, C, D.
Mm-hmm.
That's not really true. Like it's only A, B in that case, and the C and D case is where your top graph is supposed to be on the left side, which means like your true mean is actually in the null hypothesis. Like
Hmm.
you only get the case C and D is if the top graph is moved to the left instead of the right. But
Interesting.
basically, he just I mean, apparently he doesn't really grasp what he's teaching.
I mean, well, you. I mean, probably you'll end up doing a better job than him, bro. Not gonna lie. But
Well, I mean, yeah, because that's the difference is he's teaching it, but I don't think he's ever really applied type 2 error into their like any real data. He just
yeah,
applies it to like made up data.
yeah. He's
But like once you do it to the real data, it's like that's where real test comes in.
yeah when it gets challenging. But yeah, bro. I'm gonna like wrap it up, and I'll correct the trimming values with the explanation that you gave me, and yeah, you know, do some work for tomorrow.
Oh man.
All right, Brusky, I'm gonna conclude with the podcast.